Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost. And who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, and it is the Thursday before Juneteenth. So certainly want to make sure that we give acknowledgement of Juneteenth. And you see, I do have my Haiti soccer shirt on. Shout out to Haiti in the World Cup. First Black nation that got their sovereignty. So I wanted to give them a little love, particularly the day before Juneteenth. And they play tomorrow. Boy, does the stars align. They play a tough one, though, in terms of Brazil, at least a soccer power. But Brazil doesn't look as tough as they usually do. So we'll just see. A little extension of the HBCU sports culture. With that being said, welcome to episode 829 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, and facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is not necessarily on assignment, but he is trying to beat the Houston traffic to get in, so he might join us a little late. It was looking a little tough as you showed pictures out there. But we have none other than the other half of the show, Charles Bishop, and certainly the pinch hitter extraordinaire, AD Drew, so we can bring everybody on. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer. That's multi-Hall of Famer, as you know, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Charles, I'll start with you. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Dr. Cavil, doing well. I want to send thoughts to all those affected by the flooding today over in central Louisiana and southern Mississippi with Arthur churning out there in the Gulf. So, AD, I think it's heading in your direction, man.
I agree with you, Charles, for prayers for all of those. And Charles is sending a little love to AD Drew. AD Drew says just another thing that starting to get used to, I guess, to some degree, if you ever do. But with that being said, let me go to you, AD Drew. How are you doing?
First of all, I'm glad I got my grass cut yesterday. At least I got the backyard cut. And I don't think people quite understand this. That was the first time I've cut my grass in my backyard all year. Because when I've been in Atlanta, it has rained just about every day that I have been in Atlanta. I started cutting it about 3-4 days ago, only got halfway done. So I finished the backyard yesterday and it got so hot and steamy. I came in the house to get some water to cool off for a few minutes. Next thing I know, when I woke up in my chair, it was like 11:30 at night. So, you know, like I say, I'm glad I got the backyard cut. Now the challenge is, how many days will it be before I can finish off the house and get the front yard cut with all this rain that's supposed to be heading our way this season. So, but par for the course. That's all I can say.
Yeah, good point. Good point when you talk about that. A lot going on, a lot of rain, a lot of thoughts with everybody in terms of what's taking place. As we continue to get into it, let's get into some of the news of the day. Let me go to you first, Charles, in terms of the news of the day. What's on your mind?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. As MLB, they dropped their 2026 HBCU Swingman Classic 50-player roster as Major League Baseball is once again putting the spotlight on HBCU talent. Today, MLB announced 50-man roster for the fourth annual HBCU Swingman Classic set for July 10th at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. The game will feature 50 standout players from across the country, split into the American League and National League squads led by two familiar names. Phillies legend and 2007 NL MVP Jimmy Rollins. He's going to lead the National League team, as well as HBCU standout and 14-year Major League Baseball veteran, former Southern University star Ricky Weeks will take charge of the American League side. So the event will also bring out some HBCU star power off the field, as Andre Dawson will be there from Florida A&M. Ralph Garr, representing Grambling State, Ralph Garcia, I should say, will be there, as well as Ken Griffey Sr. They're set to attend and be honorary VIPs, adding even more HBCU and MLB legacy to the experience. So let's take a look. There's some familiar mix of names and fresh talent. 11 players are returning to the Swingman Classic, including Justin Robert Tate Jr., KJ White. Meanwhile, Philadelphia native Santino Harwood and Lincoln University Solomon McKinney added local connection to this year's game. So those rosters, there are 25 on National League, 25 on American League. They are out there for everyone to take a look at. So kudos to all those young men who are getting the opportunity to get their talents in front of Major League eyeballs during All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, that's really cool to see that taking place. Before we go to the next news of the day, AD, Drew, give your thoughts in terms of Swingman Classic. You got to see it up front in a lot of ways with it being in Atlanta this last year. What are your thoughts in terms of continuation of the Swingman Classic? Ken Griffey Jr. has really thrown his weight behind it. Kudos to Major League Baseball for supporting this, along with the other entities associated with Major League Baseball. Certainly have heard great things from the players that's gotten to participate. But what are your thoughts as Charles kind of breaks it down from the Swingman Class?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Solomon McKinney from Lincoln University, who becomes the second Division II player to play in the Swingman Classic. And I think that is great that they try to pull a local star into it, no matter what class he's into this into the Swingman Classic, a la Elijah Pinckney last year and now Solomon McKinney this year. But they just not gonna pull anybody into a showcase of this magnitude. You got to have the numbers on your level in order to get pulled into this showcase. It's a great job. It's a great experience for the student athletes there. Everything that they do with them. Also, for me, I think the biggest thing I got to cover, and I'm in a major league press box. So just as excited as those kids are being out on the field, playing in a major league stadium in that major league atmosphere, et cetera, et cetera. For me as a member of the media, being up in a major league press box, now that was when they did it at Truist last year. That just happened to be the second time that I was actually in the press box there at Truist, but it's still just what they have and everything that they have to work with from you got monitors everywhere, and I mean it's the same feeling what we get when we cover the Celebration Bowl in the Benz. It's that same feeling as far as your amenities that you get when you cover baseball and everything. So just that was the little stuff that I remember. Obviously, dealing with the fans and everything. We had, if I remember right, we had rain last year. Why is it every event that I work with has rain though? So that put a little bit of a damper on everything that we had going on. So I had but the rain also caused the opportunity for me to come down into the concourse level and just take a look at the sites and some of the people, because it was a short rain delay. Wasn't nothing long that was going to force a rain out or anything.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I know you were in the minority baseball classic and doing work. And one of the things you brought it out of that was kind of unique that the way they set up the rosters that you had members from the same institution that played against each other.
Yes.
You see a similar framework here in terms of the rosters. So you have some crossovers. You get another chance where you have some players that are used to being teammates will actually be across the diamond on each other. It brings up that was kind of closing out watching the final component as they were setting up for the College World Series. You had Oklahoma playing Georgia, and there were a set of brothers on the team. And one of the brothers on his last at bat actually hit a home run. His career was over because Oklahoma ultimately won the game and were winning, but his brother played for Oklahoma. Shortstop, I believe it was, and as he was rounding second base, he got a chance to kind of dap him up and tell him congratulations being able to do that.
Pretty cool.
What was really cool is Charles has the same admiration as I had with that in a lot of ways, is the fact that when he hit the ball, it was one of those that was pretty clear, no doubter. So they panned to his brother and watching the ball, and he was like, "Oh, cool!" You can see it on so that was kind of cool. Well, you might have that same type effect on this game, so I wanted to point that out. Don't see brothers necessarily on the opposing rosters, but teammates, as you brought up. So I brought that out, and I thought that was cool.
You know what's interesting about that, Doc?
Yes.
Is when one of those teammates is a pitcher.
Exactly.
And you get to pitch against, and probably the most dynamic one that I've seen doing these things with MVP is when a pitcher has to pitch against their battery mate, i.e. their catcher, because their catcher is on the other team. And I think I've had about 2 or 3 times where I've actually had pitcher and catcher facing each other off. Yeah. That's when it really gets fun, and that's when the storyline is. Pitcher gets shortstop, pitcher gets center field. Yeah, that's cool. But because the pitcher and the catcher work so closely together, and if anybody knows what they are going to throw at this point in time, it's going to be that catcher. And that pitcher has to be like, okay, he knows I'm getting ready to go into my slider. What can I do to get him off balance so I can get him out?
Yeah.
So that's
another quick factoid. We talked about the College World Series, but Houston Markham's grandson, former head coach at Alabama State, but Houston Markham's grandson is playing for Troy in the College World Series. So.
Played for.
I didn't catch that. That was pretty cool to hear that. And saw the name Markham and all that kind of stuff, but didn't realize that's what they were talking about. So that is another cool one. The other part of the game that would be cool is, like you said, the pitcher and catcher is unique. But the other one is if you have opposing players that get on base and you get first base, just the banner there, a throwback, if you get to tag them out, or certainly when you're trying to steal a base, this is your second baseman or shortstop to get it out. And the last one I'd say that's intriguing is if you get the opportunity, which is always big, but imagine a play at the plate that happens to be a runner and the outfielder or whatever is also his teammate, so he gets a chance to try to make a statement, or the runner gets to steal. Those are pretty cool as well. Wanted to give a little bit of personal pride here. Want to shout out Travis Jerome as he's gotten back safely. A little bit of envy on my side. He was in Nairobi, so I need to make sure he gives me my picture. I told him to make sure he went to Kenyatta University while he was there. But good to see that he's made it safe back stateside. But he said it was an amazing trip, as I can imagine. Got back and very eye-opening. So good to see that he's traveling and getting the opportunity as he was there. Checking out the road. I was like, damn, what? And the thing was, he told me like the day or two before he taking the trip. I don't understand why people want to share that with me. I got resources. I'm not going to necessarily ask you to put me on. You just let me know if it makes sense. And I like, oh man, I'll take my trip. Thankfully, Allen and his line brothers making a trip to Mexico to go see a tequila plant. I like, bruh, I know is this couple's trip? He said, no. I say, can I be down? He said, yeah, I'll get to send the information. I was like, man, these folks here, boy, they cut you off, man. They think you got a little 11-year-old. They don't think you can go nowhere no more.
Yeah, they're like my line brothers going to the Dominican, but they ain't going to see a tequila factory. So
yeah, Deuce, Charles, yeah, you might want to stay still on that. We want no problem. We don't want no problem. In fact, we're going to take our first break and come back on the other side to make sure you get all that out your mind. And we'll come back on the other side and get back into some HBCU sports news.
If you've ever told yourself, I want to get into real estate but don't know where to start, here's something just for you. From Friday, July 31st to Sunday, August 2nd, the Learn Real Estate Fast Masterclass is coming to McKenzie Office Park in College Park. You'll learn wholesaling, commercial investing, and how to purchase property with zero money or credit. I can tell you, education and access are everything. This masterclass is designed to give you both. Whether you're brand new or ready to level up, this is where you start making real moves. Enjoy free lunch, free study materials, and receive a certification of completion. So don't wait. Seats are filling fast. Do not sit on the sidelines while others build wealth. Take that first step toward ownership and legacy. Get your tickets now at learnrealestatefast.com or tickpick.com. For more information, call 678-859-3303. Master the market, build your legacy, secure your future today.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter. From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're here with the professors. That's Professor Bishop, Professor Drew, as we give you a HBCU Sports Talk. Closing out the week. I want to get in a little bit. We touched on this MEAC, if you would, women's, adding two sports, one of them being women's flag football, and golf is the other sports. And we teased it out and gave a lot of kudos to AD Drew that corrected me that it wasn't just a year ago they talked about it, multi-years ago that he said that it was a hot thing. And so it's fascinating in so many ways that this seems to be coming that way. With that being said, want to take a deeper dive and get your thoughts a little more in terms of MEAC adding women's golf, Charles, I know that's something that you're happy to see.
Very
As a
much so.
golfer, avid golfer out there. And obviously, AD Drew told us to be thoughtful when it's flag football. What are your thoughts about MEAC adding these champion sports? A lot of the sports, in fact, Howard won a championship in the NEC last year, the first one. But now they'll be able to come back home to the MEAC and play against their MEAC fellow institutions as part of a MEAC offering of a championship. Start with you, Charles. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's just a great thing that you're offering. I guess more so expanding your sports portfolio by offering these two new sports. But I mean, obviously, I'm an avid golfer. I love the fact that you're adding the golf team there within the MEAC. And then I think the thing that I'm taking a look at is just, and AD, we've talked about this, just the growth of women's football. I mean, how it's really taking root, especially along the East Coast, and now we see it really taking shape in the South as well. So it's exciting to be a part of watching these two new sports come into the conference.
Drew, your thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna start off with golf because I'm gonna take a little bit of a deeper dive into flag football. So let me get my golf comments in first. If you already have a men's golf team and you can pay your current golf coach a couple more dollars, it only makes sense. Just like with tennis and some of the other sports where it doesn't take that much extra. Now, obviously, the recruiting is a little bit tougher because now you got to recruit both genders. But once you get them on campus, the training and everything else is very similar between the two genders in these sports and everything. Obviously, we know golf is not a cheap sport, first of all. But golf on most campuses, your golf team is probably going to have one of your highest GPAs, if not the highest GPA among your student athletes. So that boosts that up. Obviously, for Title IX purposes, adding women's sports is something that definitely meets that requirement. Now I would never be in favor of adding a women's sport and having to cut a men's sport due to Title IX. But if we can add it and still stay within our Title IX responsibilities, I'm all for it. Now, let's spin it over to flag football. And there's flag football. NCAA was kind of forced to add flag football. What do I mean by flag football? Because so many high school athletic associations have adopted flag football over the last 5 to 10 years. These kids wanted those same opportunities at the next level, that next level being college. So we're starting to see it. These kids are playing flag football younger. So it just makes sense. And for the MEAC to add it in as a first Division I HBCU conference. Let's not forget CIAA did it first. But as the first Division I HBCU conference, I think that's great. And one thing, and everybody has to kind of understand the marketing behind why the NFL has been so enamored with flag football and pushing flag football. Everybody remember about 15, 20 years ago when we start having the CTE scare and
was it that long ago?
Because that's when it really started coming to the forefront.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
With the concussion and everything else. And the growth of football was slowing down because there were a lot of mamas and dads who were not letting their kids play football, but particularly the mothers. So that's when flag football started getting pushed. But let's be real. The guys wasn't playing flag football because if you were playing flag football as a guy at that point, you were considered soft.
Right.
So they focused it on the females. Why
And the
focus it
younger,
on?
they did it as an introductory sport for
Yeah.
younger kids because a lot of them were saying that they didn't want them to play contact that early. So
Yes.
we introduced it with youth football,
Right.
takes off, and at that level, just like you see with baseball, you see young ladies, girls playing baseball with the boys.
And then
They
then
saw
switch
this
off to
as an
softball.
opportunity where you could also have uh,
Co-ed.
co-ed teams, and so you're absolutely right. Then they started saying, "Hey, we can push this up."
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Continue.
And let's think about it. So now the NFL, where a lot of females were not following NFL and football, now you've got more female fans following football because they're playing flag football at an earlier age, understanding the game of football and understanding the differences between tackle and flag. So you've introduced a brand new fan base who later on, when they start having kids, they're going to be more apt to let their sons play football. And obviously, they're going to push their daughters towards flag football. So we have to truly understand the total marketing of this. But I happened to work at a university before I came to Morehouse that was big into flag football. And at that point in time, flag football was the only successful program that we had at that school when I started there. And to the point where they were national contenders every year, making it to the championship game 3 consecutive years. Unfortunately, coming off doing the Buffalo Bills and coming off on the short side of the championship game all 3 years, but making it there. So that's when I saw it, and then I would see the athleticism and the play calling, and I would go to practice and watch the drills, and yeah. Let me tell y'all something. Pulling a flag is an art. It's an art and a science. And just like you go through tackling drills, Dr. Cavil, those ladies go through flag drills and learning how to properly position themselves so that you don't get the you don't do the swing and the miss, and one of them chicks get the shifty hips and everything, and you wind up looking stupid on the highlight reel. They work through that stuff. But on the flip side, when they on offense, they work through those moves that you have to do to be able to shift the hip. So just the athleticism. And last thing on this, that school that I was at, the best quarterback on the campus played on the flag football team.
Just saying.
IJS. I'm just saying. She had the best arm out of all the quarterbacks, male or female.
Since we went in a little bit on the business side, I got 2 questions to ask you before we close out this segment and to think about is another one that I won't ask, but I'll bring to your attention. The fastest growing market for football in terms of apparel sales are actually women. And part of that is because it just wasn't anything out there. So you notice oftentimes you would have very early on women would take and purchase smaller men's clothing, and they would do what they would do. They would put the sprinkles on the diamond, they would take it, they would cut it,
bedazzle it,
and then some of the women designers and NFL realized that, hey, we got a whole nother marketplace out there, and they started selling merchandise in one of the fastest growing apparel areas, and because it just didn't exist. And to your point, while many of them may not have wanted their kids to play, they were still fans of the game. So they're buying merchandise. Now you double that up and have them in that focus. Is interesting. Now, this is where I wanted to put you a little bit of your business hat on. And I'm going to ask you to play AD, not AD Drew, but play athletic director, VP of athletics, commissioner, and president/chancellor. If you are the vice president of athletics at Alabama State, how much do you give a thought to look at placing your team? Valley may be a little more of a challenge, but they have it as 2, seeking to becoming an affiliate member of the MEAC since they're going to have it as a conference sport.
The one good thing about most MEAC schools, most MEAC schools, you can usually catch a direct flight into that area. You know, Central is pretty much a direct flight. South Carolina State, obviously, if you're talking to northern schools in the DMV, Norfolk schools in the DMV, you can get into Washington, Baltimore. So if your budget can't afford that flight to, let's just say, Howard, you got Howard on the schedule. You may have a Howard Maryland Eastern Shore on the schedule together as travel partners. If you can catch a flight into there reasonable, because you're talking maybe 20 on the flag team, 15 to 20 that you would be taking. If you can do it, I think it's good. Now, I would not do it if I've got to put those kids on the bus 18 hours to DC.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So if my budget can support it, I definitely would consider it, especially not knowing if there are any other full conferences within my region. Because if there's a conference within my region, now I've got to sell why I want to join this HBCU conference for outside of the obvious is the HBCU conference, when I may have another conference that may fit geographically and help out with my travel budget. So that would be the first thing, because I know if I was the president, chancellor, or somebody else, I'm gonna be like, if there's a conference in the Southeast, why not this conference? Because the travel is going to be easy. But Dr. Cavil, you didn't ask me the other question.
What is that?
Do the MEAC schools want me to join? Because
that
means they have to come to me also.
That's why I asked you. I want you to put your AD hat on, your commissioner hat on, and your president's chancellor.
Yeah,
that was the entire question.
Yeah. Do they want to fly into?
Are they going to be inviting? I think what's interesting also, because the first thing you jump out is the distance. But think about the scheduling for a new sport. You're not going to necessarily have to have a huge conference schedule. So you play, let's say the MEAC starts out with 5-6 conference teams. If they, 6 of the 8 play it. Even if you get up to 8 and you add 2, you got 10. So you're talking about playing 9 games, or maybe just have an 8-game schedule. You're talking about 4 trips.
Yeah.
So you can look at it that way, and you may not be talking about it. It'll be interesting to see how they schedule games for flag football too. Yeah. Are you going to have the traditional football where it's 1 week? Or are you going to have 2 or some games at a time? What does that look like on the scheduling side?
Most conferences that I've seen that do flag football usually do the travel partner thing, where you will play a game, where you will do games Thursday, Saturday, or even sometimes back to back Friday, Saturday, with games. I've also seen the cluster format, where you may bring 3-4 teams to. Well, you obviously you have to bring an even amount of teams, but you may bring 4 teams to one site, Dr. Cavil. Let's just say to DC, where you may have Valley and Alabama State from the SWAC come in, and they would play UMES and Howard or something like that in a cluster. And then, those they switch off and everything. So you do have to be creative, but because it is not as taxing on the body as traditional football, you can do the every day or the every other day, the 3 games and 2-day type of cluster or something along those lines, almost like you would do softball. So that is something, and if that was the case, that would definitely be something that would have to be, if I'm Alabama State, that would have to be done in order to favor me to get in. When I travel east, I need to get 2 games minimum in that on that one trip.
No doubt. Before we close out this segment, one of those teams, one of those institutions, I should say, that's out of the MEAC that is going to get a women's flag football team has announced, which is Maryland Eastern Shore. So after 45 years of having their football team on the men's side shut down. They will be bringing back football, but they'll be doing it on the women's side for flag football. Maryland Eastern Shore is one of the women's teams that had it. You've noticed that the MEAC has done a lot doing when they have their football media day. One of the things they have done is working with the NFL flag football in their partnership, and you see that it's paying off in terms of them looking to become a full varsity NCAA Division I flag football team for 26-27. Be interesting to see of the 8 other MEAC schools, what are the 4 or 5 teams that will be adding flag football. As we said, we have 2 out of the SWAC Division I level, which is Alabama State and Mississippi Valley State. Drew, at the Division II level, how many are there? I know there's one at the NAI level, which is Florida Memorial. What about the Division II level?
CIAA, I believe, has either 4 or 6. Don't give me the lie and tell you which ones they are. I see Steve's in the chat. He may actually know which CIAA teams actually are competing in flag football, but I know the CIAA did have a tournament this year with that. The SIAC is also, I believe, going to be sponsoring flag football. So if that happens, that'll be 3 of our 4 HBCU conferences that'll be flag. Thank you, Steve. CIAA has 7, so that's
quite a bit.
That is significant that they have 7 schools there, Dr. Cavil. Dr. Cavil, I just want to say this publicly. Any HBCU or non-HBCU who needs a flag football consultant, I am available. And it ain't for a small fee, for a fee. We don't do small fees over here. But I am available if you need a consultant on the business side for flag football, everybody.
I like that. Hey.
Yeah. Or conferences. I'm glad I will consult at the conference level.
Cool. With that being said, let's take a second break. We'll come back on the other side.
Put that back, G-Boom. The last comment. The CIAA teams with the they're your 17s, and of course Steve would put that note that
would make sure because his team was the champ. Good. Exactly. They already have a championship. Claflin, Johnson C. Smith, Livingston, Fayetteville State, Virginia Union, and Bowie State are the 7, with Winston-Salem State being the inaugural champs of the CIAA. Fascinating. Good stuff there. Let's take our first break and come back on the other side and get back into it. I think we'll get Charles back on the other side as well. And we'll talk about the big news coming out of Atlanta. We'll be right back after this last break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
If you've ever told yourself, I want to get into real estate but don't know where to start, here's something just for you. From Friday, July 31st to Sunday, August 2nd, the Learn Real Estate Fast Masterclass is coming to McKenzie Office Park in College Park. You'll learn wholesaling, commercial investing, and how to purchase property with zero money or credit. I can tell you, education and access are everything. This masterclass is designed to give you both. Whether you're brand new or ready to level up, this is where you start making real moves. Enjoy free lunch, free study materials, and receive a certification of completion. So don't wait. Seats are filling fast. Do not sit on the sidelines while others build wealth. Take that first step toward ownership and legacy. Get your tickets now at learnrealestatefast.com or tickpick.com. For more information, call 678-859-3303. Master the market. Build your legacy. Secure your future today.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8888 8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Looks like we have Charles back, but blackout screen, he having a little trouble there, but maybe we get his voice. Charles, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, well, we'll take you through there. Right now, we don't have your picture, but see if we can bring you back in. Working on that. With that being said, Wi-Fi issue over there, but we're working on Charles. He's trying to dig through it.
Log back in, Charles. See if that'll clear up your camera.
As we do that, let's get in a little bit of this article and information in regards to one of the big announcements. I thought it was the big announcements, but I was shared directly with John Grant. Had a prior engagement, so we'll see if we can get him on maybe in terms of Tuesday of next week, if not Thursday. But you see, Toyota expands HBCU commitment to a 3-year agreement with MEAC SWAC Challenge Kick-Off and Celebration Bowl. Just going to read through a little bit of this, and as we break it down, get you to chime in as we go through it. So listen through this, so all the listeners out there can follow and see your thoughts in terms of what this is going on. Pretty big announcement in terms of the totality of this agreement. It's nothing new for us to see partnerships with our classics, new sponsorships or alignment with even our conferences, with them being able to do really strong things at this time. Shout out to Keelam over there, Carol, in terms of the lab. Talking about joining us. Appreciate you and all the lab listeners out there. The agreement includes presenting sponsorship, title sponsorship of halftime show, Red Lobster Band of the Year, sponsorship and champion circle presented by Toyota. What does all that mean? So that's a lot of different components that they're attaching their name to, and they're doing it in different ways, which is fascinating as well. Some of it are new inventory opportunities that the MEAC SWAC Challenge and Celebration Bowl has brought to the table. You still have your title sponsor with cricket, which is always good to be able to develop that more. Back to Toyota. Shout out to Alan, who is an executive at Toyota over there in the greater Dallas area. Sure, he's excited to hear this news. Had a chance before COVID as he was doing some work and was introducing some of this. But I know he's going to be excited about these type of partnerships. With that being said, Toyota has expanded its commitment to historically Black colleges and universities, HBCU athletics, and culture surrounding Black college sports through a new 3-year agreement with ESPN events that includes the cricket, MEAC SWAC Challenge Kick-Off, and the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Under this agreement, Toyota will serve as the presenting sponsor of both the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kick-Off, and the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Toyota will also become the title sponsor of the halftime show for both events. That is a new announcement in terms of inventory that we hadn't seen before. Continuing, creating a major brand presence during two of the most visible celebrations of HBCU football, music, and culture. In addition, Toyota will become a sponsor of the Red Lobster Band of the Year and presenting sponsor of the Champion Circle. For those that don't know about the Champion Circle, that is a formal kickoff dinner that is done oftentimes before everybody gets there. It tends to be on, what is that, Thursday night.
Yes.
Where oftentimes it's celebrated about the new class of HBCU Hall of Famers. They can be there. You have the red jacket where the previous Celebration Bowl winner and all the other coaches that have won Celebration Bowls come back as they get the coat last year's Celebration Bowl champion, which would be Chennis Berry. So that'll be interesting, as I'm sure that he wants to be there for that, but he also wants to be there with the team because they also celebrate the teams. Kind of fire them up, but give them a nice dinner and acknowledge them. Make sure they also understand the festivities and the culture and the history associated with it. So big event. Always enjoyed that. Last couple of years, we've been there and had an opportunity to actually do our show live from what is going to be now Toyota's Champion Circle presented by Toyota. So that's going to be fascinating in terms of what that looks like. So let me pause it right there and we'll continue the other part of that. But that's quite a bit of fat to chew on. So let me get both of you's opinion on what they're sponsoring so far. Again, we got a little more that we'll talk about maybe and take that up in the next segment. But so far, in terms of adding the sponsorship about being the presenting sponsor for the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff, as well as the cricket presented by, I should say, Toyota, a lot there. And I have to make sure I have my ledger to get all that out, Charles. But you also got the Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota. And before you get in that, I will say that, I have a Toyota truck, like it so much. Me to give it up. But now I know, I was thinking about it might be that time. But if I do it now, I know I'm going back. I'm keeping.
There you go.
Toyota. It will be a newer Toyota Tundra truck. With that being said, Charles, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think when I saw this announcement, that was the first thing it did for me was in this political environment of anti-diversity and inclusion. That was the first thing that jumped out for me, that this was a corporate entity that was marrying to the HBCU culture. And that, stuck out or jumped out immediately for me. If I'm a consumer, and I took a look at it myself, just like you did with a Toyota Tundra. It's like if I'm jumping back into the car market, they jump to the forefront in terms of here's a company that actually supports HBCU culture. So those are the things that really jumped out initially for me. I mean that the goodwill that I think Toyota has bought through partnering with the MEAC SWAC, as well as Celebration Bowl, MEAC SWAC Challenge Celebration Bowl, Red Lobster Band of the Year, it's immeasurable. That's tremendous. Those were things that immediately jumped out for me.
Eddie Drew, I know you got this a little early, couldn't put it out until everything was buttoned up. But as you're getting this information in and you asked for being prepared to put it together, what are your thoughts when you saw the magnitude of it? I'm not sure that we've ever seen somebody jump this far in. We've seen some presenting. We've seen obvious title sponsors. We've seen even some additional framework. But to be all in on multiple events, which really credit to John Grant in terms of seeing why it's important at certain points to add that and connect them all together, and now finding a sponsor that sees the value in this total picture of the HBCU sports culture.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I had to write the press release, so I had to dive into it and kind of piece this together, and that was a little bit of a challenge there, and because there was just so much into it as I was getting the information and trying to piece this information together. Normally, when you get a deal like this, it's like, okay, they put their name on the game or a singular event. But for them to put their name on so many events, shout out to Toyota. I've never owned a Toyota. So like you said, something to think about next time I get into the car market. So first thing we got to do, Dr. Cavil, Charles, and everybody else out there in media, now we got to make sure that we don't get tongue tied when we say the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kick-Off presented by Toyota. The Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota.
Got to put that kickoff.
No, I said Celebration Bowl, but you got to put the
kickoff. For the first part, as you were saying, for the MEAC SWAC Challenge, which a lot of folks, they forget the kickoff because that was added to really announce that this is kicking off the season. So to your point, is breaking it down. It's important to put the entire framing out there because they're supporting it. And while they may not be supporting us directly as podcasters or those that do streaming platforms, the value that it has to those events is important for us to be able to see, to your point, as putting the entire thing out there because it turns around. Please continue.
One other thing, I got to give the executive director, John.
Well, Grant, I want to put a pause on that because we're going to continue this. I want to go more, and I want to be able to give you enough time to really give him his flowers in terms of credit. Let's take this last break. I know I said last time, but let's take official last break and then come back. We'll do a little bit more of that article, get some quotes in there, and then allow A.D. Drew to give the flowers to John Grant and see what specific thing he's doing there. In the business, we call it Satis. We'll be right back on the other side.
I work for Morehouse, Ken Rashad.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
If you've ever told yourself, I want to get into real estate but don't know where to start, here's something just for you. From Friday, July 31st to Sunday, August 2nd, the Learn Real Estate Fast Masterclass is coming to McKenzie Office Park in College Park. You'll learn wholesaling, commercial investing, and how to purchase property with zero money or credit. I can tell you, education and access are everything. This masterclass is designed to give you both. Whether you're brand new or ready to level up, this is where you start making real moves. Enjoy free lunch, free study materials, and receive a certification of completion. So don't wait. Seats are filling fast. Do not sit on the sidelines while others build wealth. Take that first step toward ownership and legacy. Get your tickets now at learnrealestatefast.com or tickpick.com. For more information, call 678-859-3303. Master the market. Build your legacy. Secure your future today.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Shout out to Ken with all that big money. I forgot he right. He said, if not a Toyota, get a Lexus.
That's why I said I work for Morehouse. I can't afford a Lexus.
Hey, man, when I got out, I just wanted to show off. I was single, moved away. I had all that engineering money. You know, my first car was that Lexus, the one where they did the special partnership coach edition. Got me 2 coach bags. Well, you couldn't tell me anything. Had my little coach leather gloves. Well, I was driving around Huntsville, Alabama, big time. I think that's why I landed Faith. You know, I look good in that little Lexus, black with peanut butter inside. Well, you could tell Texas in the Lexus. I could be come in your state, baby. You could tell me nothing. Yes, sir. So he right. He right. I either do the Toyota or right. Shout out to kids. Big money kids. See, you know, you got to have some money to be thinking about that. Let me go back to you, Drew, and let you put a button on it. But before we do that, let me read the quote so people really get a understanding. As we were talking about, the expanded partnership connects Toyota with the full art of the HBCU football season, from the cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kick-Off presented by Toyota to start things which opens up the college football calendar literally in week 0, to the Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota, which crowns the HBCU football national champion. The partnership also supports the pageantry, tradition, and excellence of HBCU marching bands through the Red Lobster Band of the Year, which crowns the national champion on the field in terms of halftime shows, and which now is added between the games and the Toyota halftime show itself, while helping recognize champion leadership through the Champions Circle presented by Toyota. Quote here, quote, Toyota's investment in the properties represents more than a sponsorship. It is an investment in the institution's traditions and communities that make HBCU athletics so powerful, end quote, said John Grant, executive director of all 3 events. Quote, through this 3-year collaboration, Toyota will have a meaningful presence from kickoff weekend to championship weekend, including the halftime shows and band championships that celebrate one of the most important parts of HBCU consumer experience, end quote. With that being said, Drew, go ahead and talk about why you wanted to give additional credit to John Grant.
First of all, full disclosure to everybody, I was not a part of the negotiations. Had very limited knowledge that this was going on. So when I'm going into this, I'm going into this from the media side. I'm not coming at this from the ESPN side, but I am going in this with a little bit of having known John for a few years. What John has done with this is a marketing lesson that we need to pay attention to, we being HBCU institutions. Why do I say that? Something, a partnership with Toyota, and getting Toyota to attach their name on things. Let's be real, Dr. Cavil. You would have never thought about selling the naming rights to your champion circle. You've sold the naming rights to your halftime. What happened if one of these bands that we had, one of these fine bands at all of these institutions, sold the naming rights to a corporation for their halftime show? That's why I say the marketing lesson that everybody needs to look at, and so many other things that John has done around these 3 events. Let's back up. When he took it from 2 events to the 3rd event, everybody looked like this man might be a little crazy. We're talking about this band of the year, and now what are we talking about? It went from the band of the year to the Red Lobster band of the year. So let's give this man his credit and his flowers while he's here, but let's also study what he has done and how he has helped reshape the marketing things that we do with these schools. It's a proven fact. You appear in the Celebration Bowl, win or lose, applications for enrollment increase at your school. That's marketing. Those games that we are talking about, the cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kick-Off presented by Toyota, and the Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota, along with the Red Lobster Band of the Year, are infomercials for your school. How many of us are actually taking advantage of them? The infomercials for our conferences, the SWAC and the MEAC. But are we taking advantage of it? Marketing lesson. Everybody take notes. The dean is here. I need the dean to go ahead and expand on this lecture.
I appreciate it, and you set it up on the tee. And while I would say there's probably some other folks that thought about sponsoring stuff, but the genius in a lot of ways is understanding the volume of what he was able to put together. And you alluded to this about having multiple events that you can tie together. It really gives you the volume that allows a business to understand the value of attaching their name to it. So it's understanding that you have an event in a football and certainly like the title to that, but understanding that you also have the halftime show. And if you can partner with the band through the institution and add some other events to it, where you can now tie all that together, while there may be some desires to have a single sponsorship, and you can still do that with a title. Now you also see an example of understanding what we call bundling all this together. And I'm sure many of the purchasers out there have heard about bundling, particularly those that have cable and a telephone and cell phone or stuff like that. That's one of the things the telemarketers, they expanded their base and went into cross marketing different things. One of the things they got for a lot of folks was bundling packages. This is that same framework, ADQ, as you're alluding to. Being able to have a kickoff classic with a end of year championship game, adding a band event to it, along with a nice celebration dinner banquet, right? We've had those for many years, but how many people have understood to tie that together? Many times it's the athletics that may be doing the football event or the basketball event. Then it may be the band director doing the halftime part of it, or a band contest, if you would. right? Then you have somebody else totally different, the Alumni Association, if you would, that's doing the banquet.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So we've
And
seen
institution
all this.
advancement trying to raise money off of all of it.
Right. And then they're going out separately trying to get, sponsors and things. But if you have the ability, and if we can get enough people on the same page to work together, then there becomes a little more synergy to help you in the marketplace, to bundle the value, because I think that's the ability of what you have here. So great point there. Charles,
Can I add one point
add
before you turn
anything
to
that I'm
Charles?
gonna to you, Drew? I want to get
Okay.
Charles in here and opine on what I just talked about, the importance of bundling, because we've seen a lot of these events stand alone and do relatively well. Some of them are even able to get their own sponsorships. But looking at it and seeing the value of being able to do a little more to that, what are your thoughts on that?
Without hyperbole, is sort of groundbreaking. When you kind of take a look at the way that he has put this together, and that's the thing that just really kind of stands out for me. And that as you were talking, I was sort of, I guess, kind of thinking how this could be a template for other entities in terms of selling their halftime show. Is that a potential course of action for bands around, in terms of, how they look at trying to bring in revenue into their department. So it was a lot of things kind of going on, just kind of thinking about, wow, how groundbreaking this really is.
Right. And that's why I want to say that, but I want to be careful about that, because I think we see that. I think the unique thing that people cannot miss is that you had a singular individual that was able to put this together. Now, he worked with a lot of folks. But again, if you have the athletic director doing his thing, the band director doing their thing, you have the alumni doing their thing, it's harder to get that value, right? Unless you can get them to collectively come up and decide what that looks like and put the package together and saying, hey, we're going to give you all this. If you're going out there solo, I think it's a little harder. The groundbreaking part about this is the totality of the package, which to me is what gives Toyota so much value. They get a one-stop shop. And now they get the kickoff things literally at the beginning of the year. They get the end of the year, and when you have the utmost celebration, you essentially have a weekend event poultry of a lot of things that the sponsor has touch points. Because some people are going to go for the band of the year. Some people are going to go to the champions dinner. Some people are going, or a lot of people are going to the bowl game. Some of them will go to all, but if they don't, Toyota gets the advantage that they have multiple ways where they have touch points with potential consumers that see they have a value in terms of celebrating the HBCU sports culture. I think I want to make sure that we get that out of there, because that's the uniqueness to me of this. We've had folks do sponsors, the band competitions, they have sponsors smaller. One of the reasons they're smaller because you're not aggregating enough things together to get the totality of the package that a significant sponsor can see why they could put a lot more money behind something of this nature. I'll give it to you, AD Drew, to kind of get some closing thoughts on that.
I think one other thing that everybody is missing, Dr. Cavil, for John to get this sponsorship, this significant of a sponsorship, considering, Dr. Cavil, that less than 365 days ago, the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kick-Off, before we added the Toyota to it, was a singular event in week 0.
That's
the
true.
fact that you're able to add presented by Toyota, and your game now has 20 other competitors on that day, and some of them at the same time, shows the value of your event and the faith that Toyota has in that particular event. You know, there are 21 games on week 0. Only one did Toyota put their name on.
Yeah, I will add this. Great point, because you made me think about this. But only a few are able to say they're on ABC.
Only one.
Only one, yeah.
It's saved on ABC.
Well, no, you have a couple of games on ABC.
They on ESPN, family, but they're not on ABC that week.
Yeah, but the ABC puts a couple of games on there, but at the beginning of the year and the end of the year.
Yeah.
You have
one HBCU game.
Yeah, you got only one FCS one. But I'm saying,
yes,
it doesn't matter whether it's 1, 2, or 3. It's not many games on ABC. Is the point that
they only gonna play 3 a day on linear TV right. Anyway, max.
Right, and the only night game at a prime time for the kickoff, and then the first game to start the bowl season at the end of the year. The point I was making is that you get not just ESPN, which is a significant brand itself, but you get to put on ABC. So again, the volume of seeing all this together is where you're able to sell the magnitude of creating this partnership. Let's end it right there. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. AD Drew joining us, doing this thing. Again, I want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time as we drive the bus into the weekend. Shout out to Raymond Holly, G-Boom, driving the bus in the back. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. He's used to driving the RV, so we just added this to his bailiwick as he gets us prepared for homecoming and takes care of that business. Half the time, we just got to show up. Appreciate you. That's a nice thing there. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram, DrKenyatta-CAVIL. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon, Charles.
Of course.
AD.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Mike still stuck.